Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Thinking about holding up father, no sex, my man. You know, if a girl, you know, she get having a baby, carrying a baby, hey, that's on her. You know, I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condoms?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. Girl tell you to take them things off. They figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling change in values. 25 years ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most Black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world turned upside down as children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the Black families today are headed only by a woman. Clarinda said she could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all Black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare. He's not unusual either. For LaDawn and Clarinda and Timothy, and many more like them in cities all over America, the traditional family no longer exists. It has vanished, and something new is taking its place. Single women and the children they're rearing alone are the fastest growing part of the Black population. What becomes of the Black family in a world where the values are being turned upside down?
If the parent is 17 and 18, uneducated, unmotivated, fooling around, wandering around, what's the child going to learn? Who's to teach him? When you learned something, you was taught by your parents. It was reinforced by school and your neighbors, but it was taught by your parents. Well, if the parents don't know anything, how are they going to teach the children? So it's not racism that I'm fighting right now. It's the lack of motivation. See, I'm not even talking about racism. Maybe later on we'll get back to that. But I think we are destroying ourselves.
This is Newark, New Jersey, one of America's inner cities. Inner city is a polite name for ghetto, as in black ghetto. Those of us who don't live in the ghetto are brought here usually by television, and usually only when there are violent pictures to show. But we have to come here if you want to understand those fearsome statistics about the vanishing Black family. Now, a lot of white families are in trouble too. Single-parent families are twice as common in America today as they were 20 years ago. But for the majority of white children, family still means a mother and a father. This is not true for most Black children. For them, things are getting worse. Today, Black teenagers have the highest pregnancy rate in the industrial world, and in the Black inner city, practically no teenage mother gets married. That's no racist comment. What's happening goes far beyond race. Why then do so many teenage girls get pregnant and have children? Why do so many fathers abandon their families? The answers begin with the people here. They told us what happens to family when mothers or children, fathers don't count, and the street is the strongest school.
Good morning. Chuck over here, Bob Slade, standing by. We are going to check with you on one.
Okay. Okay, Bob.
It is the beginning of another school day in Newark, New Jersey. Another day of class for Clarinda Henderson. She is 17 and had hoped to graduate from high school next year, but that was before the birth of her baby.
I dreamed that having a little baby, you could just cuddle in your arm and just hug all the time, kiss on it, smell it, because it's so sweet. I thought it'd be fun until I had her.
The reality's different?
The reality just punched me right in the eye. I had to pinch myself and see if I was here, because I was like, this is too much.
Clarinda was only 15 when she got pregnant with her daughter, Shaquana. She is not unusual. Half of all black teenagers become pregnant. Clarinda has never been married. She's still living with her mother at home, where she's raising her baby daughter. Clarinda goes to a special school for dropouts after she takes her daughter to a daycare center. She has 5th grade math skills and reads at a 6th grade level.
When I got pregnant, I said, well, I'm going to have this baby, and she's not going to stand in the way of my education. I'm not going to let no one stand in the way of my education. I ain't going to be like these other girls, just drop out, can't get no job, no money, have to be on welfare.
Ready. On the vocabulary. Bingo.
Clarinda learned about birth control in sex education courses, but she still became pregnant. You think it was a mistake?
Well, I'll say no, because I wasn't on any, birth control methods. Neither was he. And, we were sexually active, and when it happened, it just happened.
When you think back to that day when you learned you were pregnant, what went through your mind?
Oh, gosh, I'm going to tell my mother. And I'm going to tell my mother she going to make me get an abortion. I was really scared, I think.
Why didn't you want to get an abortion?
Because I wanted his baby.
What did you like about him?
His legs.
His legs?
I got a thing for bow-legged boys.
Bow-legged boys?
I love them. They have some gorgeous legs. I just don't know.
Darren Lyle is the father of Clarinda's baby. He is 18 and lives in central Newark. He dropped out of high school when he was 16. He has never held a steady job.
I spend most of my time listening to the radio. When I don't go to school, I don't work, I don't do nothing. Just like this, killing time.
Did you want to have a baby?
Not really. It just happened. She just popped up pregnant.
Were your friends impressed?
A lot of, everybody was telling me, that, she looked just like me, and, she is kind of cute, kind of pretty. That was like, make me feel good.
Sure. Do many of them have babies?
That seems like that's all they be doing around here, making babies and shit, making babies.
Have you asked Darren to help you with the baby?
No, because I see he can't even help himself. He can't. It's pitiful to say that, but he can't.
He wasn't prepared to be a father?
No. And he still isn't.
Were you ready to be a mother?
Well, no. But now that I am, I just have to take it step by step.
She not tender-headed.
Clarinda relies on welfare to support Shaquana, but it's her mother, Gloria Henderson, who gets the check for the whole family. Gloria, 34, has never been married. She was a teenager when Clarinda was born, just as her own mother, Clarinda's grandmother, had been when Gloria was born. When you were pregnant, did you assume that you could turn to welfare for help after the baby came?
Well, yeah, but I didn't have her just to collect welfare. I had her because I felt that it would have been a part of me. I would have had somebody to live for, and also somebody to love and love me back.
Is your daughter the first person you've ever loved?
I really, really love my daughter.
2 months after the birth of their baby, Clarinda was pregnant again by Darren. This time she had an abortion. She didn't think she could handle 2 little children while still a teenager herself. Your grandmother was a single woman with a child. Your mother, a single woman with a child. Now you. Why is that happening?
I really didn't plan on getting pregnant, but if I really had somebody to really sit down and talk to, like really express my feelings to them, I don't think none of this would have happened. And then when it did happen, my grandmother's like, I told you this, I told you this. Tell me nothing.
Nobody told Darren anything either. He too lives at home with his mother. Where's your father?
Locked up.
Locked up where?
Green Street.
What for?
Fighting and shit. Fighting. Violence. Stuff like that.
Had anybody ever told you what it is like to be a father?
I like watching other older, that had
What did you learn
kids.
from them? How did you?
I learned that they take a lot of patience. Take a lot of patience.
You have a lot of patience?
I don't got a lot of patience.
Clarinda doesn't always have a lot of patience either.
You want to fight?
No.
Then don't ask me if I want to fight if you don't want to fight. Don't say to me.
You got my course then,
Come in now.
Talk to you. You like going out like that.
No, you went out. You shouldn't have said nothing to me. You done already pissed me off.
What I do?
2 months after her abortion, Clarinda and Darren broke off their relationship. They see each other rarely now. Once in a while, Clarinda will take Shaquana to visit. Do you ever think about marrying Clarinda? Why not?
I ain't thinking about that. Nah, that's the last thing on my mind.
You ever feel depressed?
I don't be like sad. I just be like frustrated. I be like really like frustrated.
What are the odds that your daughter will follow the same route? Because there was your grandmother,
No.
your mother, and you.
No, I see to that.
How?
She won't. I would sit down, I would talk to her about her being a young lady. Like, Juana, if you go out here, you have sex, be sure you on birth control. Or, if you do have sex, make sure whoever you having sex with care about you. Don't just let them them get over on you thinking they got a piece of the action now. They can go tell Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Did your mother tell you those things?
No.
You tell them to yourself?
I talk to myself in the mirror. But
And you say no?
no. And like I said to my daughter, no. No more.
Alessandra Jackson is 23. She's the mother of 2, expecting a 3rd, and is not married. She too lives in Newark. Like nearly half of all black children in America, Alice's children are being raised in poverty. They live a subsidized life in subsidized housing. But that's not what Alice wanted or intended. Alice lives in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Newark, in the project where she was born and brought up. But she hoped that one day she would move out of here. She graduated from high school, went to business college for a year, and worked steadily until she became pregnant with her first child.
I was doing so good before I was pregnant. I had a little job. I kept money, stuff. But after I had the child, that's when money started going low.
What was your reaction when you found out you were pregnant the first time? Did you intend to get pregnant?
It wasn't planned. But when I got pregnant, I wanted it. I wanted to be a mother. It was exciting to me. I just thought if I had something of my own, a little child is going to call me mommy. After you have them, it's hard. You got to bomb this, you got to bomb that.
Malik is Alice's firstborn. He is now 3 years old. Soon after he was born, Alice, then 20, quit her job to take care of him. 16 months later, her second child, Antoine, was born. When we met, she was 6 months pregnant with her third child. Timothy McSeed is 26, the father of Alice's 3 children. Though they're not married, they see each other regularly.
When I first met him, I didn't like him. But when he started talking to me, it seemed like he was like a man that wanted to have a home, have children, take care of them.
Did you talk with Timothy about how you were going to support the baby when you were pregnant?
No, that's what we didn't do. No, we didn't even talk about how we was going to support the child.
Timothy McSeed held his last steady job 2.5 years ago. He's been arrested several times on robbery and drug charges. He was brought up in Newark by his mother, who was 16 when Timothy was born. His father has another family in another city. Timothy has a talent for drawing, which he has never developed. He dropped out of high school at 16 and spent 2 years in the Job Corps. He was 23 when he and Alice had their first child. Timothy does not support any of his children. How many children do you have?
6.
He fathered those 6 children by 4 women. He also had 2 more children by 2 other women, but one died in infancy and the other was aborted. We asked him about the birth of his first surviving child.
It was kind of a funny experience because, like, me and the girl was just messing around, right? And she was going with somebody else. She used to be an old girlfriend of mine. She managed to get popped up by me.
Okay, that's the second baby. The third was...
Mustafa. He was the third.
That was by another lady?
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Ward. Yes, I go see him every now and then.
How old is he now?
He's 5, I'm not mistaken. 504, even more.
And then the fourth one was...
Simone. I only saw her twice. 2 times.
What happened to her?
It's a family problem. You know, the father don't want me to see the mother and all that. You know, so I got tired of running behind her and found me someone else. I didn't have to sweat it because I guess the father was taking care of them anyway. So,
how does it feel to have those
women?
No, kids.
Kids. Well, you get to see. If it ain't one thing you've done, you like artwork, for instance. You look at your art, you say, this is something that I've done. Just like the carpentry, it's something that you've done. You can see what you've done. If anything, if you don't do nothing, you can see something, you know, what your life was, you know, it was to you.
So the kids are sort of artwork?
Well, not really, but you can, like they might grow up to be doctors or actors, you know, and you can say, look, that's my boy, or that's my girl, you know. Whereas, you know, there's some people that can't have children at all.
I always said, it ain't that hard to get a job. You go out there and look for a job because I'm sick and tired of just laying back waiting for a welfare check. I said, this is not how I want to live the rest of my life. This is not the way I plan for my future to be.
Does it make you feel bad that you can't support your kids?
Yes.
How do they make it? Where do they get the money?
Well, the majority of them, the mother's on welfare, and welfare gives them the stipend for the month. So what I'm not doing, the government does.
What would happen if the government didn't?
This would be a big disaster, I guess, because you can't give something that you don't have. In order to give, you got to have for yourself.
You see, people out there watching are going to say, why didn't he think about that before he brought 6 kids into the world?
Well, mother had a choice. She could have had an abortion, or she could have kept the child. She decided the way that she wanted to have the child, so therefore, I guess it's not sweating her. I mean, it's not bothering.
You think it's her fault if she gets pregnant?
Well,
I mean, you fought her.
Well, maybe not. Like they say, mama, baby, papa, maybe. You know what I mean?
A week before their last baby is born, Alice came for what is only her 4th visit to the doctor during her pregnancy.
Yeah, I was very much worried, and I was kind of unhappy being pregnant. You know, to know that I'm going to have a 3rd child and I'm not doing so good with my 2 I have already.
Is that so? Come with me, please.
But as you know, the months went by, I just had to deal with it, being pregnant and knowing that it's my child. I'm going to have a child, and I'm just going to have to support it the same way I supported them. Or do better if I can do better.
Is that the last one?
Well, I ain't gonna say that because I said that when I had my first one, then I had a second one. When I said that was my second one, and I had a third one. So I ain't gonna say that.
Did you think about birth control?
No, I didn't even think about birth control. I was afraid of birth control because I always heard that birth control give you cancer and all that stuff.
What about Timothy? Did you talk to him about taking precautions, about being
careful? Yeah, I talked to him about being careful about, birth control.
But did he?
No, he wasn't with it. And sometimes I'd be like telling him, leave me alone, it's over with. But every time I do that, when he's not with me, even that same day or the next day, I feel, lonely without him. Feel like, I just get angry and say them things. I don't really be meaning them. So.
Do you love him?
Yes, I love him.
Does he love you?
Yes, I think he loves me too.
How does that guy keep from falling into that trap that you described in that rap?
If you see everybody else robbing, man, and selling drugs, it takes a wise man to learn from another man's mistakes.
The adults got to set an example for the kids. If they see the adults do it, that's what they're going to do too, eventually.
Who would be an example?
My family, my mother.
His mom is Brenda Wardrick, 30 years old, the mother of 4 children by 3 different men. She has never been married. She raises her children alone in a daily tug-of-war with the street.
It's a battle. It's almost like, and I think most parents feel the same way. You fear for your children leaving home. They can leave out and walk right across the street and trouble can get in their way.
What's the hardest thing about being a single parent?
It's hard, understanding them sometimes. And they have difficulties understanding me because I'm a young parent and sometimes they act like I'm their sister as well as their mother,
What do your children mean to you?
My friends, they're my world, When I wake up in the morning, see, if you don't have a husband or a man with you, your children are always there. So you have someone to call your own. So your children will smile when nobody else will.
Do you want your kids to get married?
Sure. Especially my daughter. My boys, they'd probably be, freelancers.
Freelancers?
Yeah.
Like their fathers?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
That does seem to be the pattern.
Yeah.
You won't find in these neighborhoods the primetime family of Bill Cosby. There are successful, strong black families in America, families that affirm parental authority and the values of discipline, work, and achievement. But not many live around here. Still, not every girl in the inner city ends up a teenage mother. Not every young man goes into crime. There are people who have stayed here to fight for these kids. They're outnumbered by the con artists and pushers. It's not an even match, but they stand for morality and authority and give some of these kids a bracing dose of unsentimental love. When their own fathers are missing, kids need someone else to stand in, to practice damage control lest the street take over. For these kids, that someone is Detective Shaheed Jackson of the Newark Police. He came by his street smarts the hard way.
Well, I came up out of the streets, so I know how to get around a lot of that stuff. And I guess the older you get, the more you learn. I was fortunate enough coming up that I never got caught. And I grew out of the streets, but yet I still have some of the street in me.
There was a time when he wasn't sure he would make it off those streets. He was an unmarried father at 18, and he had his share of troubles. But he was raised by 2 parents. His father was a Baptist minister, and they pushed him to make something of himself.
On Sunday morning on my block, you would see each family almost coming out going to church. You don't see that anymore, the family unity.
When he was 21, Shaheed Jackson joined the police department. Although he handled security for us while we were in Newark, his beat is the kids of the neighborhood, who look up to him as if he were their father. What he can do with them here, he knows, is just warm-up for what they face out of the ring and out of his reach.
Going for the title. Work, time!
What have you learned about these kids?
That they need somebody to love them. You know, they identify with us because we don't, excuse the expression, we don't take any crap. You know, you come in here, you got to be disciplined, you got to, you know, follow the rules and regulations, because when they go out here and deal with life, they're going to have to follow rules and regulations in life.
Self-control and self-esteem, far more important than a good left hook. That's his message to kids like Bernard Wardwick. He's been coaching Bernard for the past 4 years.
It's like a big brother-father image with me and Bernard. There's been times when he's gotten me mad and I've spanked him, you know, and his mother knows I'll spank him and he knows I'll spank him. And sometimes that's what a kid needs to know. Freedom is a lot of times destruction. The more freedom a man has, a lot of times he'll just self-destruct. So I try to, you know, keep him in a little cage. Keep him in my arms.
Somebody has to say no.
Yeah, somebody has to say, no, you cannot do this.
A lot of these kids grew up with nobody saying no.
Right.
Do you think it's important for them to have men around?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you have a one-parent family and it's a mother, she cannot teach you all of the things that a man can teach a son. There's no way.
So where do they learn the routine techniques of just daily work and living? They don't.
Unless they get it from their parents, they'll get it from the streets.
How do these kids on the streets make it?
He could either be a stick-up man if he stays in the streets. He could be a mugger. He could be a drug dealer. There's so many different things. Like you get a kid who's a good boxer, and a drug dealer may say, hey, you want to make so much money a day? Just make sure nobody stick up my man here.
He becomes a soldier for the drug dealer.
Or a strong arm, you know.
Helping to protect the drug dealer.
Helping to protect him. Because if he can make $100 a day or $60 a day just standing there watching something, and, you know, he does it. That's the battle that you got to deal with. You know, that's the war, to try to convince them that that stuff isn't, in the streets, isn't what's in their best interest.
Does it worry you that Bernard could fall into that?
I think he could go either way, but I think if he does, it'll be something that'll really hurt me, so I don't think I'll let him go. You know, he's like a son to me.
What do you think's ahead for kids like Timothy and Alessandra?
It's going to be rough. It's like hell where they live. And Alice is sweet as hell, but she loves Timothy. I would say if Alice had a husband that was strong, she could do something with her life.
Is a kid like Timothy, what happens to a kid like that down the road?
He's like a guy on a trip without a road map. Timothy's just out there. Timothy doesn't know which way he wants to go, what he wants to do. Timothy is a guy with great talent. As far as art, the kid could draw anything. But Timothy is a ladies' man.
Is that a point of pride with him? Accomplishment?
To him, I would imagine, yeah, it's an accomplishment.
Where does he get any money, Shaheed? He doesn't work. He told me he hadn't had a job in 2 years.
Oh, Alice gets her assistance, I imagine.
Welfare?
Yeah, welfare and stuff. And
that happened a lot? The mother gets public assistance and helps the guy on the side?
I don't know if you would say they help him, but, you know, it's a lot of guys that I know that just goes around looking for welfare mothers. And they may have 6 of them like that and get a little piece of money out of each of them. That's their job. You know, that's their hustle.
What do you think about welfare?
Welfare, to me, some people need it. You know, I'll be for real. Some people really actually need it. And then others take advantage of it.
Sandra Alice told me yesterday that she thinks welfare has made her lazy.
Yeah, because it's there. You know that your food is going to be there every month, because with the welfare finance come food stamps. Then you get Medicaid to cover your medical expenses. Welfare is doing everything. You're married to welfare, a lot of the women's. They're more married to welfare than the guy is laying in the bed next to him, because he's just a physical thing. The whole backbone of the family is coming out of downtown or out of uptown offices.
Government offices?
Yeah.
Does this cycle of dependency? I mean, what does it do to the values of these kids?
Oh, they see it as a game. You know, somebody owes me something. Somebody's going to take care of me. It's not the self-esteem.
What do you think's ahead for kids like Timothy?
Maybe he'll get shot or he'll pick up a gun to protect himself and he'll get shot by a police officer pulling it, or he'll get arrested. Some girls think it's cute walking down the street pregnant.
Don't you ever get discouraged?
I get discouraged. I lock people up. I get in fights.
Don't you ever want to walk away from them?
Yes, but I feel like so many people has done that. To me, I hate to lose. I hate to lose, and I never would have started working with kids if I didn't, you know, for me to walk away from it, I feel like I lost.
All right, who are the last people on the field?
James Wallace chose not to run or to hide. He learned in his own youth that one person who cares can make a difference.
When I came up, I wasn't what you would call an angel. I did little things. I was a one-parent family. I only had a mother. That's why I can relate to these kids. But there was another older man that took interest in me and showed me the right way.
And he said to you, you matter.
Yes. He said, you have more to offer than what you're doing.
20 years ago, James Wallace began telling young people they mattered. At first, he ran after-school programs.
Nice hustle, kid, nice hustle.
Now he and his wife, Carolyn, head the International Youth Organization, a community center in the heart of Newark. If James Wallace is a surrogate father to many kids, Carolyn Wallace is a surrogate mother. She's seen too many children grow up and stumble not to be angry.
If the parent is 17 and 18, uneducated, unmotivated, fooling around, wandering around, what's the child going to learn? Who's to teach him? When you learn something, you was taught by your parents. It was reinforced by school and your neighbors, but it was taught by your parents. Your parents said, Bill, you better not do that. Don't put that plug over there. You're going to get a whipping, right? Your parents did it. Well, if the parents don't know anything, how are they going to teach the children? Now, if we have a generation of that kind of thing happening and the kids are coming up under that, then we got another generation of lost young people.
Why are there so many single-parent households?
Have you been walking the streets in Newark lately? All our young men are out on the corner, just absolutely doing nothing. That's the problem.
Well, what's happened to those young men? What's happened to the black man?
It's like they've given up. It's like they're really not a part of what's going on.
Why are they not? Why have they given up?
There aren't that many jobs, okay, for the laborer like there used to be. And they're just totally unmotivated. And society has made living for the women without the husband or without the male easy.
Oh?
Yeah, welfare. I think welfare is not the best thing for everybody.
Tell me why.
Because it provides you with some kind of income that you sooner or later just settle for. I know I was on welfare. I've been on welfare.
Are you suggesting that we do away with welfare?
No, I'm saying it has to be upgraded. For instance, I have some young people here that are on welfare, okay, but would like to work. But they can't work and make a coin because everything you make is taken away from your check.
Can you push the solution even further back? Is there any way to stop the cycle of teenage pregnancies?
That's so difficult to even talk about. In my heart, I think I have a solution, and I know, it may rub people the wrong way. But I believe that teenage pregnancy cannot be stopped by programs. It has to be morals, and morals come from God. And somewhere along the line, the black family kind of strayed away from that, and I believe we need it.
You say the moral values have changed.
Oh, yes. It's morally acceptable to have babies. It was not morally acceptable years ago. That's hurting the black family.
What I hear you saying is that even though racism may have brought about these circumstances, even though society may have created conditions that are terrible, you're saying you have to be responsible. You have to practice discipline and self-restraint.
That's right. We are destroying ourselves. Now, it might have been motivated and plotted and seeded with racism, but we're content to be in this well now, okay? We're just content to be in this mud, and we need to get out of it. There aren't any great white people running around in this block tearing up stuff. It's us. We've got to stop doing that.
Does the civil rights movement, which came to its peak in the 60s, have anything to say to this?
The civil rights to the young people now is a foreign word. What does it really mean to them? They don't have any knowledge about it.
The issue now is different, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm quite sure it is. If Martin Luther King were alive, he would not be talking about the things I think he was talking about, labor and all that. I think he'd be talking about the black family.
And you're worried about the survival of the black family. You think it's precarious?
I think it's going to be an endangered species.
Even though the messages that kids are getting from society seems to say, do anything you want to, the United States government of New Jersey, a white man like Moyer cannot step in and say to young black kids, it's not right to have children out of wedlock. Welfare needs to be changed. You've got to take responsibility. Who's going to say these things to these kids?
Why can't you say it?
They won't listen to me.
Doesn't make any difference. You got to say it anyway. They may not listen to me either. But I'm saying if you say it in your corner and I say it in my corner and everybody is saying it, it's going to be like a drum beat. And sooner or later it will sound. But it's not just for me to talk about. It's for all of us to talk about. And I think it's going to surpass colors. And you're not going to be safe, I'm not going to be safe, and nobody's going to be safe unless we all send out this drumbeat. Hey, let's deal with it. Let's deal with the problem.